1,000 patients, that's a pretty significant number of patients who have failure of EVAR. So why does it fail? So there's multiple modes of failure. This is a very dynamic process, and multiple factors play into the ultimate failure. So if you look at this here, there's device factors, there's patient-related factors, the features of the aortic neck where the device is deployed, and I think one of the most important things is the physician judgment, because we're the ones who make the call in terms of which device goes into which patient and which anatomy. So if you look at the literature, type 1A endoleak causes pressurization of the sac and about 74% of the ruptures that happen after EVAR. So that's a pretty significant number. So if you look at the durability of EVAR, so essentially you can divide that into anatomy and pathology. Seal zone matters, and we'll discuss that on the next slide. From an endograft perspective, yes, the conformability, active fixation, oversizing, migrations, and device integrity, all of these features play into the device success, or the EVAR success. But I think very importantly, the seal zone. So ideally, you want to have at least 10 to 15 millimeters of aortic seal zone. This should ideally be a healthy parallel aorta. Some of the features that make it not so good or not so amenable to a successful EVAR are the tortuosity that you witness, the calcification, thrombus. These are some of the other features, the short necks, the conical necks, tapered, reverse tapered, the posterior bulge. Some of these things kind of get missed and not noted very well on a CT scan if you're not being very careful with appreciating the anatomy of the aortic neck features. Now, in addition to that, there is also the concept of aortic neck dilatation. Aortic neck dilatation in itself is a huge topic, and we could talk for hours about it. But just a brief overview, the natural degeneration of the aorta is a very well-known and well-studied process. In words of Roy Greenberg, given an infinite lifespan, the whole aorta will become aneurysmal. So with that in mind, when we deploy the EVAR devices, which are self-expanding stent grafts, you basically are creating some radial force, or exerting that radial force on the aortic wall itself as well. So that certainly does enhance or exaggerate the process of degeneration of the previously diseased aorta. There's multiple literature out there talking about the increased risk of failure in hostile necks. This is one of the systemic review with 12,000 patients, and they demonstrated that the type 1A endoleak is significantly higher in patients with hostile necks. Here's another paper that shows us that patients who had aortic neck dilatation had a significantly higher risk of type 1A endoleaks as well as migration and reintervention rates. And it was even higher in patients with infrarenal short necks. This paper here basically discusses and points out that the problem with these type 1A endoleaks, there's a four-fold increase in the risk of developing 1A endoleak when you have hostile neck or challenging neck anatomy. And that translates into a 9-fold increase in aneurysm-related death at 1 year. So these are pretty significant reasons why we need to pay attention to the type 1A endoleaks and the causes of type 1A endoleak, and look out for these patients and manage these patients when you see them. So let's now delve into the options for treatment for these patients. So we can certainly bring the patient for an explant and open reconstruction. You know, I'm a vascular surgeon, and I believe some of you here as well. We love open operation, that sounds wonderful. But if you take like a little zoomed out view, that is really what you're doing to the patient. You know, it's a lot, especially if your patients look something like this, where they have significant comorbidities such as pulmonary dysfunction, CAD, they have renal dysfunction, or have had previous operations with hostile abdomen. It's not really the best operation or the best option for our patients, especially because I feel like we deal with a lot more older people in this population or in this cohort. One of the other options is proximal extension with the use of endo anchors. So this is a patient, as you can tell here, there is the graft, the fabric of the graft is significantly lower than the lowest renal artery. So clearly this graft is so you can extend up with the cup and put some endo anchors. So when you talk about endo anchors, it's been studied extensively as a primary adjunct at the time of the procedure. So if you have a patient with a wide neck or a short neck, and you've decided that this patient is best served with an infrarenal EVAR device itself, then it's a good option to go ahead and use endo anchors and just anchor the device in place to decrease the risk of migration or endo leaks. Now there's good data from the anchor registry that demonstrates that the 1-year results and 4-year results have demonstrated pretty good relief or freedom from reintervention rates and sac expansion. So we've had some good results with this. Having said that, The data also shows that this is best done at the time of the procedure. The success is diminished when you're using it as a bailout or a remedy. So here's a patient who's a 75-year-old gentleman with 5.6 centimeters of renal AAA. He had a short reverse chronic leg, multiple medical comorbidities, had a previous EVAR, who now presented to us with slip endograft. These are some of the preoperative CT findings for this patient, and here's an angiogram that demonstrates that there's some room to cuff up. So you're able to cuff it up and put some endo anchors on this patient. So this is a 1-month follow-up, so this patient's SAC measured about 5.5 centimeters. He continued to have follow-up at 2 years, it reduced down to 5.1 centimeter. Really, the best way for technical success of these patients with the EVAR is the SAC shrinkage. So in this patient, this worked very well. But unfortunately, that doesn't always work, and like I said, the success rate is reduced if you're trying to remediate a 1A endoleak rather than to prevent a 1A endoleak with endoleaks. So let's talk about this option. This is one of my favorite ways to fix the 1A endoleak because I think it really works very well. So I like to build it up to a healthy parallel aorta with a fenestrator branch and a vascular device. So you can use this method as well if you have access to the resources required. So starting with that with the case presentation. So this patient who presented with the ruptured aortic aneurysm, and as you can see here, this is a very large aneurysm with a very short neck. You can see pretty significant rupture in this image right here. So this patient presented to our hospital, and one of my partners took the patient to the operating room in the middle of the night and put in an EVAR device. It was a short neck, so it seemed doable, but as you can see here, it's a 1A endoleak when she deployed her device. And if you look at it here, she ballooned it a little bit harder at the proximal neck, but there's still that 1A endoleak. Then they decided to go ahead and put a cuff up and place some endo anchors, and they were able to do that. There's still a hint of that 1A endoleak in this patient. So the patient was taken for a CT scan, and this is the CT of that patient's post-aneurysm repair. The patient is stable at this point, doing well, but we know that there's still that 1A endoleak, and if that's not fixed, the SAC will continue to stay pressurized and bleed, and this is not, we're not done yet. You can see the endo anchors. You can see that really the graph hasn't brought up very much to the renal arteries. The renal arteries may be double time, but you can see that contrast enhancement within the aortic sac as well, and the layering, which demonstrates and tells you that there is an ongoing endoleak. So then I brought this patient to the operating room for vessel fenestrated repair. In the US, you don't have free access to the fenestrated and branch devices unless you have an IDE. So this is my physician modified IDE that allows me to create these grafts, implant them. You can see here that it's fully expanded. All 4 vessels are cannulated. We were able to take care of this patient. As you can see that there is, it was quite challenging for the left renal artery because the cuff and the endo anchors are pretty much dead in the center of that renal artery. So I really like to use tour guides to kind of come up over, use the flexibility, the steerable nature of the tour guide and allow us to get into the renal artery without having to go through any of the struts of the endograft that was placed. So these are the completion images for this patient in the AV view as well as the lateral view, and you can see that there's resolution on that 1A endoleak in its entirety. So what about the literature on 1A endoleak and trust with EVARs and EVARs? So this is a study with the ARC, the Aortic Research Consortium in the US. So 160 of these patients were failed EVARs that were remediated with a fenestrated branch endograft. So they had excellent technical success at 97%. The third-year mortality was 2.5%, which was phenomenal. And the target vessel frequency was 97.3%. So we needed to be a safe and effective way to treat type 1A endoleak with excellent outcomes. Now, if you look at the systematic review that includes multiple studies, and they had excellent success with mortality being at 2.2% and spinal cord ischemia being at 2.8%, reintervention rates being at 13%. The target vessel frequency is 100%. If you look at the lead outcomes for this group of They again had fantastic results with no aortic-related deaths, and the 1-in MOE in this cohort was about 2% as well. So things that we need to consider: patient selection. I think it's really, really important to avoid the problem of 1-in MOE. You have to evaluate the aorta in its entirety to make sure that you're not missing anything. Precision in sizing for optimal build to make sure that you are building into the healthy parallel aorta. And I think this planning is probably the bulk of the work that you're doing, and everything else in the OR is just technical execution. So it's really important to assess the nature of the rescue of the disease by evaluating the entirety of the aorta. So this is a patient who had a 1-in MOE, and as you can tell, this is kind of an occult entity, and nobody can really tell where it's coming from. But if you pay attention, you can see that there's hardly any seal between the neck and the endograft. So I think those are some of the features that we have to pay attention to. Gestational scar for us, demonstrated very had a very good result on that. We also have to be very cautious with the use of implants. While they're helpful, sometimes they are not the correct device to use. Every device and implants that we have, they all have their place. So if it's used inappropriately, you're not going to have a successful outcome. So in this patient, there's a sufficient neck to put an endoanchor in. Nonetheless, endoanchor is replaced, and as you can tell, the device basically ended up slipping down, and this migration had to be remedied with a device. Posterior wall is another one of those features that we have to be careful and mindful of. So CY MR allows you to fail forward. What that means is it allows you to have an extra cuff above your visceral vessels to build the T-bar into it if there's further degeneration of the aorta down the line. So it's really important to keep all of these things in mind when you're planning your fenestrate or planning EVAR or fenestrate device. So to conclude, there's multiple ways to deal with a 1-in MOE. The most important thing is that the index operation should be the best operation that is being offered to the patient. Forward-thinking and thoughtful decision-making by the physician is really important for the durability of the device in use. Because the question is not if the device will fail. Really, the question is when it fails, what are we going to do? So you should design to fail forward. And finally, long-term imaging and clinical follow-up is absolutely necessary to catch these patients and fix them before a complication like rupture occurs. Thank you very much.